Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, to hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets. Cause we know where we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocket here and stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Hello, I can't take no loss. My team hold no L's, no. Aiming for the top.
Welcome everybody. Welcome back to Brett Breaks Things. I'm excited about today's show. No doubt. Excited about today's show. I'm starting to rock the Black Santa look a little bit. I'm debating on whether to shave or not. Just give me a rugged, like a rugged cowboy, black cowboy feel. I mean, I don't know if you ladies are feeling that. If you are feeling that, don't tell me because I'm married. I'm going to get to that in a second. But yeah, I'm rocking the Black Santa. We'll see how that goes. I want to open today, and I'm going to tell you, I'm excited to tell you about what we're going to get into today. It might take all day. I have some other stuff to get to, but as far as what I'm going to focus on today, I'm going to open with this. David Dunning and Justin Kruger are two Cornell psychologists. They're two Cornell psychologists. And in 1999, they developed a cognitive bias theory called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect states that the stupid people don't know how stupid they are. Therefore, it's going to be much tougher for them to improve upon their current state of stupidity. More specifically, if you are unqualified for something, you don't know how unqualified you are. So you think you're great at it, and you are less apt to make improvements. Example, I am so unqualified at satisfying my wife that I don't know how unqualified I am. So I can't make any improvements. So she remains unsatisfied. And of course, she's not going to say anything because she's an angel. And relating it to today's news, Trump is one of the prime examples of the Dunning-Kruger effect. And I'm not even talking about policy or the administrative abilities of this man. I'm talking about he's unqualified to stop and talk to the press. He is unqualified for a stop and chat. And because he is so spectacularly unqualified to talk to the press in front of microphones and cameras, he has no idea how unqualified he is, and he thinks he's great at it. And of course, we've talked about him eliminating anybody around him who might be able to help him in this endeavor. It's all yes men. It's the emperor's new clothes. And so once again, the emperor goes out naked. And just because you lie a lot does not make you a good liar. And considering the amount of lies Trump has told to the press, you'd think he'd get better at it. Now, in our mission statement for this show, I promised to fact check the lies, debunk the BS. That was my promise. And that is what we are going to do today. Because Trump had a stop and chat. On the heels of his Middle Eastern trip, on the heels of the big, beautiful bill passing the budget committee, on the heels of this, he decided to stop and chat, and he brought along his favorite pet, Mike Johnson. So I don't have a ton of time. There's a lot to get to here. He stopped and talked for about 20 minutes. So I don't have a ton of time to get to it all. So I'm just going to jump in. We're going to play the clips, and we're going to debunk the BS. That's what we're going to do today. And it is my absolute pleasure to do it. Now, he lies so fast and furiously, it's like playing whack-a-mole. But not just regular whack-a-mole, not the early first 10 or 15 seconds of the whack-a-mole. We're talking about the end portion of whack-a-mole when it's like lightning round because it's so much coming so quickly and you got to bonk each one as they're popping up. Every fact check with Trump is like a lightning round of whack-a-mole. So let the whack-a-mole begin.
Are Republicans still grandstanding in your view?
Oh, yeah, sure. You have a couple that will grandstand, but I think even the grandstanders should. Look, the alternative is a 68% tax increase. And you can blame the Democrats for that and one or two grandstanders. We only have one or two. But we have tremendous support. But you'll have a 68% tax increase, or you'll get a massive tax decrease. You'll get a tax cut, the likes of which we've never had before. This is bigger than any Ronald Reagan tax cut. It's even bigger than the tax cut that I gave, because as you know, that's being extended and increased. So this is the biggest tax cut in the history of our country.
Okay. First, that's Mike Johnson, obviously standing next to him, his loyal pet, and we're gonna point out his his demeanor over the next couple clips. But his demeanor is basically, please don't look over here, don't talk to me, don't look to me. I'd rather not be here. Okay, and he does a bad job of it. He's so clearly uncomfortable. Okay, on to the fact checking. This one's we're not going to dive too far into. He's claiming one, that this is the biggest tax cut ever, bigger than his last one. That's true, because not only is he cutting from the corporate class a gigantic amount, he's extending the corporate tax rate. He's extending it from 2017 from 35 to 21%. Gigantic. That's a tax cut. Might not be for you, but it's a tax cut. Okay. All right. He's saying, if you don't pass this, instead of cutting your taxes, it will increase your taxes by 68%. That figure is so wild that the TJCA, TCJA, the Tax Foundation, that can't even fact check that, because the number is so wild. We had trouble finding any type of numbers relating to the 68% that he claims will increase. That lie's so bold and so ridiculous that is almost unfact checkable. But don't forget, he's right about cutting at least into the spending, because he's also planning on cutting Medicare and Medicaid, okay? Medicaid specifically. The Taxation and Economic Policy, the ITEP, is another institute that has backed up these claims. And they acknowledge, yes, it will be bigger. It will benefit mostly the wealthy billionaire class. And they as well cannot verify the 68% increase. It's just a threat. Okay, let's get to the next one.
Do you consider some of the proposals on the table in copay and provider tax as a benefit cut? How are you viewing those?
No, we are looking at one thing. We're not doing any cutting of anything meaningful. The only thing we're cutting is waste, fraud, and abuse. With Medicaid, waste, fraud, and abuse. There's tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse. There's incompetent things put in. We have illegal aliens that are multiple killers with multiple murder records getting Medicaid. I don't think anybody minds if we cut that. The Democrats, on the other hand, are going to destroy it, because they're going to leave these people on. We're cutting three things: waste, fraud, and abuse. We're not changing Medicaid, and we're not changing Medicare, and we're not changing Social Security. And if I wanted to do those things, I would have done it during my 4 years that we were.
Okay. All right. In that clip, he blames the waste and the fraud and the abuse in Medicaid specifically. He's saying that's due to murderous illegal immigrants benefiting from Medicaid. He wants to throw them off. They were never on. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, undocumented immigrants are completely ineligible for non-emergency Medicaid benefits. They can receive services covering critical conditions, childbirth, severe trauma, but no routine medical care. They are not eligible. They are federally restricted from receiving Medicaid. The National Law and Immigration Center backed up those claims. Undocumented immigrants are excluded from most federal benefits. Of course, as I said, they are eligible for those emergency situations, severe trauma, childbirth, things like that. He's saying we're going to shore it up and we're going to leave it alone. That's a lie. They are cutting $880 billion from Medicaid. They are cutting $250 billion from SNAP. Okay? They are claiming that they are going to fix it by throwing off imaginary, murderous, illegal immigrants. Just know that, because they keep saying that, and it is not true. They keep saying it, and it's just not true. Illegal immigrants are not eligible for Medicaid, and their proposal to fix it is by tossing it off a bridge. They're going to fix it by breaking it. Instead of, keeping on 18 attorneys generals and all of the people in these departments that are tasked to oversee the waste and actually fix it, instead of investing in them and clamping down on them and telling them to do their job, we're just going to throw it off a bridge.
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. You're back with Brett Breaks Things, because democracy doesn't defend itself.
All right, we're constantly fact-checking. We're constantly getting information according to what we're talking about. I just wanted to get the number, and I will get it later, about how much immigrants pay into Americana, how much we benefit economically from immigrants. I'm going to get those numbers later, because he's going to bring up that point again, blaming the Democrats, blaming Biden on a gigantic false number of illegal immigrants currently in the country. But we're going to get to that. We've got plenty of clips to get to. So we're going to get to that. That's a promise. But we're just going to keep playing whack-a-mole, lightning round. All right?
President, what's your message to your fellow New Yorker Republicans who are hung up on the SALT issue state?
Well, SALT is a very interesting thing, because the governors of New York and Illinois, the big JB who's going nowhere. Probably right now he could be the worst governor in the country. But Illinois and Gavin Newsom, those are the people that want this. And they're Democrat states. They're all Democrat states. Ronald Reagan tried very hard to get this passed, was unable to do it the way we have it, where basically everybody's treated equally. He tried it so hard, and he never got it done. He was always disappointed. He never got it done. We got it done. Now people want to change it. So we're going to be talking about that. But the biggest beneficiary, if we do that, are governors from New York, Illinois, and California. And those governors are the ones that blew it, because they weren't able to get it. So I think we're going to be explaining that. These are all very blue states that I don't really believe. If we had honest elections, I don't actually believe. I think I would have won California. I would have won New York. I even think I would have won Illinois. I think we have to, we're going to start this after. I was talking to Mike, and again, I'm his biggest fan. I love this guy. He's the only guy who could have walked in with a one. Think of it. You can't be a guy like me and have a one majority. You have to be a guy like him, a nice person. He's very religious. He prays. He's a man of God. And so am I, but he's really to a new level, I will tell you. He is a great guy. They love him in Louisiana, and they love him that's the only kind of guy. Somebody said, oh, well, we want somebody if you put a certain personality in there, you would have never, look at what he got passed, what he's gotten passed. And just so you understand, he's getting this passed too. And I don't think there's anybody I could give you guys that is so tough you guys would run if you ever looked at them. If you ever saw some of these guys, you would not ask them questions you'd be afraid to. This guy did something that I don't think there's anybody that's more well-suited to be Speaker of the House, especially in a case like this. Remember.
Look at Mike Johnson. Please stop talking about me. Please stop looking at me. Please stop addressing me. I don't want to be here. And I think that, so there's a ton to unpack on that one. But what I love about that is he's saying anybody else couldn't do this one vote majority, one seat majority. Nobody could do this. I could go get a tough guy. I could go get an intimidating guy, and that wouldn't happen. But I got this pussy over here, Mike Johnson. You can shove him around, do what you want. He's such a nice guy. I got this really nice guy, not tough like me or some people I could get. They said I could get some tough guys that you don't even want to ask questions to. What are they going to? put the press in a headlock if they ask, what are you talking about, tough guys? No, but we got this puss over here, Mike Johnson. He's perfect for this. I also I asked a couple of shows ago, where are my nicknames? All right, that's a slow ramp up, but I'll take it. Gavin Newscum. All right, cool. You can do better, Donnie. I expect better out of you. Ramp that up. But what he's mainly talking about in that clip is he just can't. He just can't. It has been too many days since he mentioned the fraud of the 2020 election. Okay, so he mentioned New York, he mentioned California, he mentioned Illinois. New York was won convincingly by Biden. Illinois, convincingly. Big old margin. California, Biden won by 5.1 million votes. That is not close. That is so not close that even if this fraud that he's talking about had occurred, it would not even have chipped into that lead, that margin. It wouldn't have dented that margin. And don't forget, over 60 judges saw cases. 60 judges. Some Republicans, some appointed by Trump. And not one of them found any credible fraud. And even if some of them had happened, malfeasance here and there, none of the fraud that they can't just discount offhand would have had any effect in the outcome in those 3 states. Okay? It's just, he's lying. And that's, honestly, that is fanciful thinking on his part, for sure. He also mentioned J.B. Pritzker in that. The only reason he mentioned J.B. Pritzker is because J.B. Pritzker is rising in the Democratic Party. Every time he gets in front of a camera, he gets more and more people to think that he could possibly be a nominee in 2028. He's funny, he's personable, he's well-spoken, he's knowledgeable. His background is impeccable, and the people in his state love him. So, of course, like, how do you know you're doing well on the opposition of Trump? How do you know you're doing well? Because Trump feels the need to bash you, to try to just talk his way out of your popularity. If this guy's getting popular, I'll just trash him in front of a camera, and because everything I say is awesome, everybody will eat it up. So you Republicans, MAGA, if you've heard about this Pritzker guy, don't worry. I just told you he's going nowhere. I just told you. So don't worry about it. Don't look anywhere. Don't fact check. Don't check out his popularity or his rising stardom in the Democratic Party. Don't do it, because I just told you he's going nowhere. Let's move on.
Because the Democrats have really hurt our country. And we are going to go into very much so. Remember what I said, the auto pay. This government was illegally run for 4 years. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, should the DOJ be charging a member of Congress?
Okay, so that was phase 1. That was phase 1 of his stop and chat through Capitol Hill. That was just Mike Johnson was with him, and he walks away after talking about the Biden administration was illegally run for 4 years. He's talking about the auto pen. He's claiming the use of auto pen is illegal. Okay, well, it just so happens that is patently and completely false. The use of the auto pen for signing official documents, including legislation, is a common and legally accepted practice in the U.S. government. The Constitution requires the president to sign bills into law, but does not specify it needs to be a hand signature, period. There's nowhere in the Constitution, not that Donnie would know anything about the Constitution, not that he's poured through it or even looked at it, but if he had, he would find nothing about the auto pen in the Constitution. Okay? It was not illegally run. Now, we do have some stuff coming up in the next few days on this show about corruption in the last handful of administrations. We have a bunch pulled, and it will be my pleasure to do so. We have a ton of stuff pulled on who actually committed crimes while in the presidency. We went into the Biden family. We have sound by Mike Johnson himself talking about the Biden family, and we did a deep dive. We did a deep dive into Joe and Hunter. We also did a deep dive into Donnie and his seed. And we looked at who actually was guilty of corruption in the presidency. And we take an honest look. We take an honest look at Hunter, and we take an honest look at what Biden has been accused of, and we take a real honest look at what Trump has done, and has been convicted of, and convicted of, and convicted of. I mean, we could do a week of shows on allegations against Trump, but we took a look at what he's convicted of. No, the auto pen is not unconstitutional or corrupt or illegal.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things, pushing back, speaking up, and holding the line.
Pushing back. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. And I'm doing it not only because it's fun to so easily debunk everything he's saying, and not only because I am personally offended at how stupid he thinks everybody is, and I'm not just talking about the left, I'm talking about the right as well. He just thinks we're absolute morons and that he can say anything off the top of his head. Even used car salesmen can't sit there and just lie to you about this 86 LeBaron convertible that he wants to sell you. He can't just sit there and lie about it, and he is a used. He sells every one of his policies, all of his executive orders, all of his everything, all of his ideology is sold to you as if he is a used car salesman and you are a rube. He's got a lemon. He's going to sell you the rube, the lemon. But even a used car salesman can't just sit there and lie to you. Okay? It's just not allowed, but it's allowed for this guy.
I'm going to win a lot of elections. The economy is big. I just had my highest poll numbers ever. And we had a big trip to the Middle East. We took in $5.1 trillion. We brought it back to our country. 180 Boeing aircraft are being built now because of that trip, and many other things. That's the least of it. The economy is doing great. The stock market's higher now than when I came to office, and we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariff money, and we've had no inflation. You know, they kept saying inflation. There's no inflation. Groceries are down. Gasoline is way down. Way down. Everything is down. All energy costs are down. I'll tell you, to me, maybe the most respected thing, you saw the way they respected me between Qatar and Saudi Arabia and UAE, probably the richest, certainly the richest of their type nation, great places, unbelievable amounts of money. They respect our country again.
Unbelievable amounts of money. Stock market's down. My approval rating is high as ever. God, he just crams them in. Whack them. Whack. It's too many. It's too many. And it's too many for the mainstream media, even the ones we respect and trust, to get to all of this. They don't have enough time to sit on CNN and go lie by lie. It's the other reason we're doing this. All right, the approval rating. His highest approval rating, he says he has the highest approval rating he's ever had. His highest approval rating was in February of this year. He hit 53% in February. That dropped in the matter of a month, right around late April. That dropped to anywhere between 39 and 42%, depending on the polling. I'm getting my polling from a Harvard poll. All right, so 39% in April, and it is now up from that. Anywhere between 44 to 47%, depending on the polling. That's kind of the margin of error. 44 to 47% is where he is right now. That took us about 45 seconds to fact check, and most of that time was how long it took the printer to spit out the paper. Okay? It took less time than that, actually, to fact check that lie. Okay. He's lying about his poll numbers. The stock market is doing great, record highs. Stock market, since he took office, is down 5.8% still. It was much more than that, but it rebounded. Because when it tanked, everybody you know, your grandma and your uncle, everybody you know lost on their 401k, lost their investments. Some had to bail out. A lot are riding it out. But when you lose that kind of investment and you're a normal American, you don't have millions and billions to take advantage of this brand new bull market that tank caused. The tariff scare caused the tank, and only the millionaires and billionaires were in a position to buy low, having a huge stockpile of funds to do so, and take advantage of this bullish market. It has bounced back. It's still 5.8% below when he took office. Okay, that's a lie. The biggest investment ever from a foreign trip. He claims $5.1 trillion was invested in the United States from the Middle East on this trip. Well, I will say the biggest investment ever from a foreign trip generated was $380 billion. That was by Don in 2017. How about that? Fair enough. So why not just take the W on that? Why not just say, hey, I'm doing it again? Last time, I raised $380 billion. Here I am again raising more money in the Middle East. Why can't you just say, I'm raising money in the Middle East? Because you are. Why can't you just take the L? Why does a lie have to come along with it? Why? Why can't the truth, when you're taking why can't you just take the dub? And why can't the dub be enough? Why can't the win be enough? Why are the lies necessary? What lies am I talking about? Well, 5.1 trillion is absolutely unsubstantiated. But didn't Qatar just give us a gift? Qatar gave him, his administration, a $400 billion jet. That's true. $1.2 trillion has been invested in American economic interests and defense interests. That has been going on actually for years. Most of that $1.2 trillion was already negotiated prior to his administration. So he's lying about grifting 1.2 million out of the Qatari. 1.4 million from the UAE. Okay, yes, there has been a commitment of $1.4 trillion from the UAE. That is in global projects and defense initiatives in the region. They are not handing the U.S. government $1.4 trillion to do with as they see fit. That is not what happened.
They respect our country again. They were going to go to China. China was going to take over those countries 100%. They were dealing with China because they weren't treated right by the last administration. And they have tremendous economic power. They have more money than anybody. We probably have more money, but we have other
Hold on.
Yes.
Now, I just want you to take a look. So he has been joined, I forgot to mention this. Yeah, he has been joined by Elise Stefanik. Let me bring that up. I just want to tell you that he's been joined by Elise Stefanik, and she is a much better thespian than Mike Johnson. You watch her, she's very demonstrative. Oh, just in awe of this great man.
Do you want the negotiations to be over now?
Which negotiation?
Over this bill?
Oh, yeah, well, it's going to be. We're going to be putting it in soon, and I think we're going to have great support.
Oh, I played the next one. Hold on.
A couple of tweaks. I mean, we don't want to.
Okay, so we'll just roll with that one. We'll just roll with that one.
Do you want the negotiations
benefit Democrat governors, although I would do that if it made it better, but they don't know what they're doing.
So you want
we don't want to do any damage to a state. We want to help all the states, but we have governors that are from the Democrat Party. Let's say New York, Illinois, big ones, and let's say Gavin Newsom, who's done a horrible job in California. We want to benefit we want to benefit Republicans because they are the ones that are going to make America great again. The Democrats are destroying our country, and you see that with the past administration, with an open borders policy that allowed 21 million people into our country, and many of those people are stone-cold murderers, killers, and trouble. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to jump into those numbers after the break. Because he brought up the illegal immigrants again. I just explained to you how they're not taking advantage of Medicaid. It's just not happening. And by the way, he once again dropped the news scum. All right, you're warming up, Donnie. You're warming up. I just need more. I just need more. If I'm going to sit through this administration, I want my damn nicknames. Where's Low Energy Jeb? That might have been one of the best. Where's that? Where's that quality of nickname? But he talks about Biden's open border policy. I cannot wait to debunk that little piece of fiction. Coming right up after the break.
We'll be back to break it all down. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. Brett breaks things because someone has to.
The Democrats are destroying our country, and you see that with a past administration with an open borders policy that allowed 21 million people into our country, and many of those people are stone-cold murderers, killers, and trouble. Yeah.
Many of those people are stone-cold killers, murderers, and trouble because he poured through the numbers, I'm sure, and he knows who's coming in. He knows. The past administration, Democrats are ruining this country. And that's highlighted by Biden's open border policy. No, he did not have an open border policy the way he is describing it. We have an asylum system in this country. You come to a port of entry. I guess that's the open border he's speaking of. You come to a port of entry and you make an asylum claim. And without reform right now, that asylum claim is really the problem, the minutia of the asylum claim. That's where the problem really lies as far as illegal immigrants coming in and staying in. They give their asylum claim and then they are released with a court date. And when they are released into our country with a court date, they don't show up. Some don't show up. They integrate themselves into our society, right? They become part of America. They go to work in our fields and they're a big part of our produce industry. And they're a big part of other things as well. But first, 21 or 22 million illegal immigrants, rapists, murderers. Okay, let's start with the fact checking once again. At the Mexican border alone, they had 7.2 million encounters under Biden's administration. Encounters. That is, they encounter an immigrant coming to our border and either wrangle them and escort them to a port of entry or detain them, depending. And of those 7.2 million at the Mexican border, they estimate that the Customs Border Patrol, by the way, these numbers are coming from the Customs Border Patrol, okay, the CPB. That's where I'm getting this information, our own Customs Border Patrol. 1.5 million of those 7.2 encountered, 1.5 got through. We see them coming. Our surveillance caught them. Our Border Patrol spotted them, chased them, whatever it may be, and they got through. 1.5 million from the Mexican border. On all our borders combined, everywhere, the number is 10.3 million encounters. And 2 million, approximately, according to our CPB, got through overall. As far as America's borders go, 10 million encountered, 2 million got through. Of those illegal immigrants that got through, they contributed in 2022, the last time these numbers were compiled, and this is from the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy, the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy. That's who these numbers are from. Illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, contributed $96.7 billion in federal, state, and local level taxes. $59.4 billion in federal taxes, $37.3 in state and local taxes. $25.7 billion of that went into Social Security. And here's the interesting part, as he claims, murderers and rapists, illegal murderers and rapists are receiving Medicaid bonuses and money and assistance and that is breaking our Medicaid system. He's claiming that. Meanwhile, they're not receiving. They are restricted from receiving. They are not. It's a lie. But they are paying $6.4 billion into Medicaid. So these illegal immigrants who are not gaming the system, they are not defrauding Medicaid. There is no evidence of it at all. Not only are they not actually receiving that assistance, they are paying into that assistance that they are not receiving. $6.4 billion. And in Florida specifically, in 2022, my home state, $1.8 billion in sales and property taxes paid by undocumented immigrants. It's not just that he lies, he goes the other way with the lie. He goes to the far end, as far as he can take the lie. He can't just he could just ignore from a Republican point of view, the uncomfortable truth that these undocumented immigrants are a huge part of our taxes and paying into it and contributing to it. But he has to say that they're defrauding those things that they're paying into. They're not. They're not. We're almost done.
What are you planning to tell the fiscal hawks who want to delay?
I'm a fiscal hawk.
They don't think this is enough spending.
I'm a bigger fiscal hawk. There's nobody like me as a
Thomas
fiscal hawk.
Massey said this adds more deficit than Biden did, and this bill kind of...
Because we have to fix the country.
Do you think that Thomas Massey is correct in saying that this is adding Biden level
No, I don't
spending?
think Thomas Massey understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly. He'll probably vote. We don't even talk to him much. I think he should be voted out of office. And I just don't think he understands government. If you ask him a couple of questions, he never gives you an answer. He just says, I'm a no. He thinks he's going to get publicity. And you have that. You have that. They've got some too. Go ahead.
Thomas Massey had the balls to come out against the Trump administration's fiscal administration, the way he's handling our economy. Thomas Massey, he's a rep out of Kentucky, a Republican. That's the grandstanders he's talking about. Hawley, right? Massey. Republicans who have the gumption to call out the fiscal irresponsibility. And he calls himself a fiscal hawk? Really, Donnie? You're a fiscal hawk. From 2017 to 2021, okay, your administration, the debt rose by $7.8 trillion. Okay? Now, some of that was in the COVID response. Okay? That's true. But most of it was military spending and your 2017 tax cuts. So not only are you not a fiscal hawk, and Thomas Massey is right to criticize you from the right, but you are the cause of this deficit. You are the direct cause of this deficit by perpetuating a Republican trope, which is a Republican gets in office and they cut taxes for the wealthy every single time. Sometimes it's all they do. That's pretty much all he did in his first administration. He got very little legislation passed in his first administration. He wasn't really interested in it. Now, he was interested in eliminating the Affordable Care Act, the ACA. He was definitely interested in eliminating that. And in possibly the final act of true bipartisan politics in this country, John McCain rose out of his deathbed as he was terminally ill, not able at that time. He was still representative and he was still in the House. He was not able to really attend at that point. He was really, really ill. And or was it? Oh, it was Cheney. I'm sorry. It was Cheney. I'm sorry. It was Cheney, not McCain. It was Cheney. He rose out of his deathbed to shoot down the final vote the Republicans needed to eliminate Obamacare. He rose out of his deathbed, showed up, and shot it down. And that was possibly the last piece of bipartisan politics you will see for quite some time. But other than trying to get rid of your health care altogether with no plan to replace it, all he really did in his first term was downplay the COVID crisis, costing us lives and trillions of dollars. Inflation rose at an unprecedented level. Our stocks fell. And all he did was cut taxes for the wealthy millionaire and billionaire class. I do enjoy what we did today. I do enjoy fact-checking that guy. It's what I promised to do. And I will gladly dive in where larger media outlets or podcasters just can't dive in quite as much. And who knows, this show might extend in the future. It might get longer. I might have more time to dive in. There's a bunch of stuff we didn't get to, and Scott says we're not going to get to it. I think we might be able to get to it tomorrow. Because I want to ask MAGA, other than really, really entertaining videos of illegal immigrants getting flown off, deported, dragged out of their cars, dragged out of their homes, what is this administration providing you? Billionaire class. Corporations, what is this administration truly providing you? Because tomorrow I'm going to highlight and pose that he's not providing either of them anything he promised.
They'll try to repair the narrative, but Brett Breaks Things will be back tomorrow to break it all down.